Good morning, welcome to day 38 of my Munros challenge. Today I'm walking route 35. Now, if all goes well and I've got enough time, I'm going to try and incorporate route 36 as well. But that's going to be a judgment call at the time. So first and foremost, I'm going to walk up Shaliak, which is the old woman. I'm sure I've walked up a similar one before, similar name, so there's probably two of them. Then we're going over to Sgurr Breac, which is the Speckled Peak. Now, given time and legs, I'm going to drop down into the glen and then try and climb over Sgurr Nang each, and then Sgurr Nang Clac Gila, which is the peak of the white stone, and then Mil a Cracasade, which is rounded hill of the crossing. So I'm parked up on the roadside, up at the top. Somebody else has just pulled up beside me. A large lay-by just off the road, which is off the Ullapool Road. So we follow this track from the roadside. It now gets to a gate and you turn left over a bridge, and then you follow it through this plantation. You see the bridge down there that I've just come across, just outside the forest. Walked up beside the lock, following this stalker's path. Not for long though, there's a little cairn here marking a right turn on this faint track here, which I'm going to take. We're going to go straight up the side of this small hill to start the ascent quite early. I have to say, this faint path rises quite steeply up this small foothill. You see what's coming ahead there, potentially the three that we're coming back on. Definitely make you hike quickly. You can see it's a bit of a steep scramble around the rocks, been a bit squelchy, a bit boggy in places. I put my gaiters on today because it is described as being wet in places. That's a better view of the top of the first one. So we're going to climb up to this col, this top here, and then we're going to skirt across and we're going to come back to this top again to get to the second one. The path skirting this hill, which I've found, takes you round to the col, so it avoids going over the top, which is very good, but it's extremely rocky, a bit of a scramble really, but worth taking. So Ashiliak's up there. I'm at the col between Ashiliak and Toman Connick, which is a top 935. We've got to go over that to get to Sgurr Breac. But first of all, we're going this way to the first Munros. The path just skirts this cliff edge. He's wrapping around. You can just about make out the top in the cloud. Just about. So nearly there. So here we are at the top, Ashiliak. Fortunately, inside of a cloud. So we're going over the next top. I've dropped down to the col. I'm just climbing over this next top, and it's quickly become pathless. So here we are at the top of Sgurr Breac, and it's blowing a hoolie, raining, miserable. So I'm going to drop down as I planned, down to the bottom. Just met a chap here, I'm going to have a chat with him, and then I'll make a decision on when I do the last three or not. It's not pleasant at the minute. Yeah, the path down the other side's hugging the cliff line. We're a bit sheltered from the wind and the rain down here. Things are feeling a bit better. I have to say it was dire up there. So there's a little stone shelter at the col between the two Munros I've just done and the three that are up there in the cloud. So I'm going to sit here for 10 minutes, quarter of an hour, have a sandwich, coffee, and make a decision on whether I'm going to continue today or not. Discretion is the better part of valour. I'm not going up there. Made my mind up. I'll follow this stalker's path and head back down to the car. It's a very good stalker's track. It's stopped raining now, but it's still blowing a gale. I think I've made the right choice. It's looking very horrible up there. It's probably wet through and dismal, so there we go. So in the distance you can see the wood, and that's where we're heading for. We're going to cut through the wood and then up to the road back to the car. Hi, welcome to day 38 of my Munro challenge. Today I walked route 36. It's Monday the 6th of September. I parked on a very large pulling on the roadside, generally very busy, because obviously there's 5 Munros off of it. Now there is a potential to merge all 5 together, which would be my route 35 and my route 36 on the web page. So I did set off with that half in mind this morning. Unfortunately the weather turned. It wasn't as forecast, and I didn't feel it was right to do it today, so I walked route 36. Now if I had have added route 35 to it, I think I'd have added about 2 to 3 hours onto the day, because effectively I was on the path that takes you home anyway, so it was just a case of regaining your height on the 3 Munros, and then dropping back onto the same path. In terms of distance, I don't think he'd have added a great deal, maybe a couple of mile, not a huge amount of distance. Obviously you'd increase the amount of footage that you climbed. So it was quite an easy path from the off, actually downhill towards the forest, through the forest and onto a stalker's path once you were over the bridge. But you very quickly came off the stalker's path onto a really tiny path. It's marked by a cairn, which immediately starts climbing quite steeply up the hillside, which eventually becomes cliffy and craggy, and the path meanders its way through quite safely, because it is steep and it is craggy. And there's a little bit of mild scrambling involved, but nothing at all really to test you. Then once you're on the top, the path skirts the bog. It's haggy and boggy, but the path does skirt around it quite nicely, and it becomes a nice big long grass slope, very easy going until you get to the traverse. There's a path which traverses around the top to the col, which is extremely rocky and slippy. It was quite difficult going actually. Actually it was level, it was a traverse, so you're not gaining height. It was just very difficult underfoot onto the first col. Once on the col, it was a very straightforward path up and back again, and indeed it was quite straightforward going onto the second Munro as well. No problems at all, not overly steep, decent footing. Once on the second Munro, I found that the path was very, very good coming off of Sgurr, Breac, second Munro. I followed it all the way down to the burn where there was a shelter. Now, as you could tell, it was extremely windy, it was extremely wet, and there was zero visibility. So with all that in mind, I decided not to go up and continue on to route 35. I did sit in the shelter for a while waiting to see whether the visibility had changed and the weather had changed, but it didn't. So I then followed the stalker's path all the way back down the burn, back to the car. Nice day actually, 12.25 miles, took me 6.5 hours, and there's 3,250 feet of ascent. So you know, all in all, it was a good day anyway, without adding the extra.